Chapter 3. The Baobab's Guests. It was Lion who opened his large, tawny eyes first, to see a small brown figure standing over him with a poisoned arrow aimed straight at his heart. "No shoot at the arrow! No shooter! Per favore, signor," he begged, small, slim man. Abba eyed him darkly and grunted, making clicking sounds at the back of his throat. Lion was quite hypnotized and couldn't move a muscle. A thin, high voice from above their heads called out, "Abba will have you if you move so much as a whisker." And he laughed a paper-thin laugh. "He's a foreign lion, from Italy," he continued, "on a goodwill visit, so he told me." Abba lowered his arrow a fraction. "Is this true?" he asked. "Is true," sighed the great beast, and rolled over on his back in a position of total submission, which he had been taught to do in the circus. "Ah," said the small warrior, and put the arrow back in his ostrich skin quiver. He shook his head at his informant. "You should have told me sooner," he said, helping Lion to his feet. "I was asleep. Is it my fault? You move so silently, O little hunter. There are 2 more strangers over there asleep in that tent who would like some water from your secret store," said Chameleon, rolling both his eyes at them. Abba stared at him until he turned away, and then sat down with his back against the great tree and motioned to the lion to sit beside him. Then he took from a yellow gourd strung around his neck a piece of honeycomb dripping with golden honey and offered it to Lion. They each had a piece and spent a long time licking their fingers and pads until all the sweetness was where it should be. "Is good," said the great cat, cleaning his whiskers. "Where you get such a thing?" "The honey bird called me as I was on my way here, and I followed him. When he stopped singing, I was standing by the hive. Then I took some of the honeycomb and left a piece for the thoughtful bird," said Abba. "Ho-hum," said Hare, nudging Caller. "Get up and pour me a drink," said the sleepy toad. "Show me the tap and I will," said Hare, combing his ears in the green light of the tent. "Bother," said Caller. "No tap." "Precisely," said Hare, cleaning his teeth with a dry toothbrush. "Let's hope this fellow Abba knows where to find some." Caller pushed back the tent flap and emerged into the late afternoon sunlight with her long shadows. He felt the ground under his feet was still hot, and he bent down to touch it. "I shouldn't do that if I were you," said a military voice near his hand. "You'll disturb my web." "Who are you?" asked Caller, rather frightened. "I'm a baboon spider," answered the voice. "Hop along now, or you could get a painful bite." One thing this had taught Caller was not to put up a tent before checking the area for other residents. "I beg your pardon, we will avoid your patch in future," he answered the large, hairy spider, who withdrew under a rock. "Thank you, over and out," said the baboon spider in his sergeant's voice. "Don't tell me you were talking to yourself," said Hare, emerging and screwing up his eyes against the strong light. "A baboon spider," whispered Caller, pointing. They tiptoed past it, where they could see Lion's tail twitching contentedly on the other side of the tree. Abba stood up and motioned the 2 to sit down and join them. "Welcome to the baobab tree. I believe you are searching for water," he said, smiling. Then he stood up and tapped the candle wax bark. "You are leaning against a never-ending supply of the coolest and sweetest water I know." He reached into a small crevice and removed a smooth plug. Holding a gourd to the channel, he filled it until it ran over the edge and down his arm. Then he replaced the stopper and handed the water to Caller, who drank his fill and passed it to Hare and then on to Lion. "It is perfect," sighed Hare. "What a wonderful, life-giving tree." "You see here a refuge and a way of life," said Chameleon, stretching out his small green hand to be introduced in a formal manner by Abba. "Welcome to our dear home in the wilderness, the baobab," he said to the animals. "Bok, bok, bok," cried the hornbill above their heads. "I make my nest here every year, and every year raise 2 fine chicks in safety. God bless the baobab, she said. The lilac-breasted roller laughed his brittle laugh and flew away, calling to his mate, and the weaver birds bobbed about on their hanging nests, calling their sweet song. Not enough space in this one, scolded the female. Build me another, she told her mate, and flew to another branch to preen. Poor fellow, said Chameleon, henpecked from the word go. He's already built her 3 nests to choose from, but she is very fussy indeed, and he climbed down to a branch closer to the circle of listeners. This fine tree is called Adansonia digitata, named after a Frenchman. It is to be found extensively from Ethiopia south to Botswana on the Mopani Plains to the north and up to the Limpopo River. This is one of the largest near Devil's Kloof, where a certain gentleman, who shall be nameless, is believed to reside, said Chameleon, like an orator waving his small hands in the air in a slow, measured fashion. You are very lucky to have a tree which holds water in this arid waste, said Hare, helping himself to another gourd of the precious liquid. She probably holds 1,000 gallons, said the Chameleon. More than enough for our needs, and he patted the old tree fondly. You can cook her leaves, which taste like spinach, and make an excellent soup. Her fruits make a delicious cool drink, and you can make a porridge from the bulbs on her roots, which can be ground to make a reasonable flour. What a friendly tree! She is indeed a refuge in the wilderness, sighed Hare. Then Abba spoke. Our people tell a tale about this tree. It was said that when the Mother Earth was young, Father Sky handed out all manner of seeds to the animals to plant, and the last seed was given to Hyena to plant, who, being a very careless creature, planted his seed upside down. And here stands the baobab, roots in the air and branches on the ground. Roots in the air and branches on the ground, they chorused and clapped their hands in delight.